And good morning, everybody. Welcome to this game day morning preview edition of the Men of Steel podcast right now with me, Charles Prodigy Ritchie. As you can always follow me on social media at Prodigy Ritchie, at Men of Steel CJR. And normally you would be able to catch the show streaming live on my Instagram, Men of Steel Nation. Not for the moment, for right now. Just doing some quick keys to the game right now as we're in week 13 of the Steelers versus Browns matchup that's going to be set today at Heinz Field coming up this afternoon. As we take a look at it for today, as we're looking at the weather forecast today, and for right now, it's going to be mixed in with a little bit of rain right now as we take a look at it for this game day preview. And right now, for what it's saying, as we take a look at, it's going to be starting off with some showers at about kickoff time, about 12 p.m. That's supposed to slow down, but like close to about 3 o'clock, it's going to be some thunderstorms. So maybe a little bit of rain right there, 62% precipitation right here, according to AccuWeather.com. Just thought I'd point that out right now. But like I said, if you're watching this game, I got to tell you, there's going to be a lot riding, I think, on this game today as we look at it. As far as like with the wild card standings, in my opinion. And like I said before, too, this is not your typical same old Browns from the past few years. This has been a renewed, again, rivalry that is really where both teams have been stepping up right now. And just to lose the way the Steelers did that last contest, I mean, 21-7, and just the way they got dominated, I felt like on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And just so before we get a little bit further with my keys to the game for this contest, I want to go ahead and just recap the injury report as far as like how the last few days of practice went, including on Friday and Thursday, these past couple of days. And here's how it stands right now as we look at it going into this matchup, going up against this game right now before we get ready to see this game cover up and see how it unfolds. So you had, so far as we know, Juju Smith-Schuster, he's going to be ruled out of today's contest. He's been cleared out of concussion protocol. As many are aware, he's been cleared about earlier in the week, but now he's been dealing with a knee injury. He did not practice all week. You have James Conner, who's going to be doubtful for today's contest with a shoulder injury. He was limited in practice the last few days on Thursday and Friday. He didn't practice on Wednesday. Then you got Ari Burns. He's going to be questionable today. He's been dealing with a knee injury. He was limited for practice the last few days. Did not practice on Wednesday. And then you got Alejandro Villanueva, who's dealing with a shoulder injury. He seems to be okay. He should be clear to go. He was limited in practice on Wednesday. Full participant on Thursday and Friday. And last but not least, Ramon Foster, who had not injury related back on Thursday. He didn't practice, but he was a full participant on Friday. As for the Browns, as far as like their injury woes are concerned, you got 5 starters right now that are listed, 6 on the injury report. And more notable right now, you got probably your left tackle and Greg Robinson, who's been dealing with a concussion. He did not practice all week. He is listed as questionable today. And then you got Olivier Vernon, right defensive end, who's been dealing with a knee injury. He was limited in practice all week. He is questionable for today's contest as we look at it. And for right now, let's see what happens. I think right now it's going to definitely be an interesting time. As well, I say a quick shout out to CR Williams, who usually gets to watch the game with from time. Usually hang out there. Hope your Thanksgiving was great. Your holidays. Thanks for tuning in right now. Just brought up an interesting stat line right here as far as like total offensive yards. Steelers right now, I think they got 3,173, while their opponents is 3,527 yards for offensive total yards, while the Browns have 3,896 total for the year, while their opponents are 3,724. And in the past 5 games, according to CR, the Steelers have fallen behind early, but an aggressive Steeler D has been able to keep the team in the game, resulting in wins. And that is very true right there. Right now, I think when you look at it, yeah, I mean the defense, that's been one of the biggest like standouts of this year. I mean, this is a unit who's been slowly molding back in the form. I mean, the last 4 years, when you really think about things, when they slowly moved on from Dick LeBeau and transitioned with Keith Butler. The biggest thing with Keith Butler, I think, the last few years, they weren't creating enough takeaways. Now they're becoming takeaway savvy. You see how they're doing this year. And the Steelers, I mean, to their credit, I mean, all in all, I mean, the sack department, I mean, they're doing good in that area. They're fourth right now with 38 sacks. Doesn't look like they're going to get 60 sacks for the year. They need about 22 sacks in their remaining. Excuse me, no, my bad. They need 22 more sacks in their remaining 5 games if they're going to hit the 60 sack mark limit. The highest I think they ever got was about 56, 58, I want to say. Anyway, but if they're going to hit that total, they're going to need about 4.4 sacks per game, starting with today's game. But anyway, let's look at it too. And one of the biggest interesting things too, I mentioned about the Steelers, when you really look at it too, has been their takeaways on defense. Right now, I mean, the Steelers are plus 10 in the turnover ratio. They rank third in the league behind the Saints and Patriots, second in the AFC. And then as far as like takeaways for the season, they got 28 takeaways, which is second in the AFC. And they do a pretty good job of taking care of the ball, which they're 22nd. They're 22nd with about 18 turnovers for the year, so which ain't bad. But you definitely want to like keep that thing a little bit more in check right now. So let's go like I said, keys to the game for this contest. I'm just going to keep a little bit short because I'm getting ready to go watch the game. But key number one for today's game: control both sides of the line of scrimmage. Last game, the Steelers were -3 in the pass rush department, while the Browns had 4 sacks for the evening and the Steelers had 1. Because I think when you look at that, that was one of the most disappointing things right there, how the Browns were able to control both fronts of that game. Because when you have good protection like they did, that's going to lead me to key number 2, Baker Mayfield, his escapability outside the pocket. There's been many times where he made big splash plays in that contest by giving him enough wiggle room, if you ask me. And what he's been able to do as far as getting big plays, he had 2 ginormous plays in that game that were big-time daggers, which eventually led to touchdowns. He had 42-yard, or it was initially a 43-yard pass to Baker Mayfield that got wiped out, basically where he got stopped on the 1-yard line. Eventually, the Browns punched in, got a touchdown. And then later on, a 41-yard pass in that contest in there was to KhaDarel Hodge, their running back. He had 41 yards. So those are things you got to be really mindful in this game, if you ask me. I mean, you want to, like I said, you have to find a way to get in that offensive line's face. You cannot let Mayfield move around. You got to flush him back. You got to give him the back pedal. You got to chase him around in this game. But I tell you what, for right now, let's see what happens. I mean, like I said, Cleveland Browns got a chance to do something for the first time they haven't done in 31 years, which is sweep the Steelers. And like I mentioned, if Freddie Kitchens and his staff is able to do this, he'll be the first Cleveland Brown coach since Marty Schottenheimer has been able to do it back in 1988. So this is a team that's not really looking to mess around. And then last but not least, key number three for the game. I'm only just going to do three keys. I need to see more out of Joe Hayden. Him and Mika Fitzpatrick last game combined for like about 4 tackles, 0 pass deflections, no picks. I mean, which was pretty disappointing right there. I mean, I like Mika Fitzpatrick. He's been a diamond in the rough, I mean, for the Steelers since coming over. But you got to impose your will by creating these takeaways. You cannot get out of this game without creating havoc by getting the quarterback's face or turning the ball over. And you do stuff like that, you increase your chances of victory. But I realized I was talking to a friend of mine, Terrell, yesterday, and kind of reminded me this ain't the same Browns team that he was with, like same players or coaching staff. But my response to him was that at the end of the day, you got to look at it this way too. At the end, fans from Cleveland are still remember you're a former Brown, a shutdown corner, when with them. At the end of the day, things have changed, players, coaching, and front office somewhat. But at the end of the day, too, I mean, we're ranked going into this game, I think 12th as far as picks. I mean, no, you're 12th in like pass deflections, and you have only 1 pick for the year. I need you to be a little bit more fired up going against your former team because, in my opinion, I think Mika Fitzpatrick, they're going to probably like stay away from him, or they're going to find a way to beat him. And I think the Cleveland Browns, to their credit, they did a good job of doing that. And that's it. And then let's just throw in 2 other keys. Get the running game established once again. I'm looking for Betty Snell football. And last but not least, just Devlin Hodges. Like I said, just if you can play a little conservative, do enough to manage game where they don't kill them, but don't be afraid to be loose when it's called upon. And those are my keys to the game. And I am Charles Ritchie here, the Man of Steel podcast. Hopefully the Steelers will get a win today, but I tell you what, this is going to be a tough one going up against the Browns. They got a good team right now. They got a chance to really do some damage control right now to the AFC playoff rankings, if you ask me. Because remember, right now, as far as like the Steelers wild card, let's just recap. They are ahead of the Oakland Raiders due to AFC common games. Steelers are 4-0 in that department. They got one more team to match up with. That's against the Jets. They beat the Colts head-to-head. And they're also, right now, 2-1 in common games, AFC games versus the Titans, while the Titans are 2-2, which, by the way, is also 6-5, along with the Colts and Raiders. And like I said, I got the Cleveland Browns looking at the chance to pull within 500 right now. Steelers here go 7-5, where they could drop to 500 today. And then you got the Jaguars with 7 losses. So those are my keys to the game. Let's see what happens. And hopefully it'll be a good Steeler victory for today. And a lot of happy folks. But I got to tell you right now, like I said, Mike Tomlin, criticize him all you want. But like I said, the one thing you always got to appreciate about this man is that how he always tends to focus on their mistakes and errors and what they need to do to improve. And that's always the good makings of a coach. Because in my opinion, if the Steelers do end up making the playoffs, I got to put Mike Tomlin to be the second coach of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers in team history, AP coach of the year. And to see him for what he's did over all the years in his 13 seasons in Pittsburgh, which would be complete at this point, he definitely deserves that. That deserves to have that added on his resume, and we'll see where it goes from there. All right, everybody. Well, as I always say, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. And you can always find me on Twitter at PrajRichie, CJR. I gone.